To me, Overdrive has always been one of the most underrated visual novel developers, especially in the Western fandom. They had a unique art style and covered settings rarely explored in visual novels such as band life, playing Cubit, and Japanese tourism. These themes, surprisingly uncommon in the genre, set Overdrive apart from their contemporaries. Despite having several titles translated by MangaGamer and receiving relatively decent reception in both the West and Japan, Overdrive closed down after releasing their final title, Musicus, joining other notable companies like Giga and Minori that have shut down in recent years. In this video, we'll be exploring Overdrive's various titles, most of which I personally experienced, and briefly analyze each one, as well as discussing potential factors that led to Overdrive's eventual closure. Very quickly before delving into their visual novels proper, it's worth noting that many of Overdrive's Japanese staff were heavily involved with MangaGamer, one of the most well-known official Japanese to English translation companies, which went on to localize the majority of Overdrive's visual novels. Edelweiss, Overdrive's first visual novel, was also one of MangaGamer's initial translated releases. While rough around the edges, it showcased Overdrive's signature charm, featuring their distinctive circular-ish character designs. The main cast includes 4 incel-like pervert bros, was an odd choice but helped the title stand out as a comedy-heavy work. Despite its comedic focus, Edelweiss had surprisingly wholesome friendship moments and introduced Nakage elements in its heroine routes, influencing future Overdrive titles. This is a title I liked at the time and even made a video review on it, but I think if I were to reread it now, I probably would like it less. The reception to Edelweiss on both Erogamescape and VNDB is very middling at best. Kira Kira, arguably one of Overdrive's most important works, received moderate success in the West but is very highly rated in Japan, being one of the top 50 most voted visual novels on Erogamescape. Its popularity from what I see is largely due to Kirari's routes, which remain some of the most unique Nakage experiences in visual novels, and in my opinion, easily the standout part of this whole visual novel. The common route features the main character, Shikanosuke, cross-dressing to play in an all-girls rock band. Sadly, I personally wasn't into the cross-dressing aspect of this plot, making for a lot of repetitive, unfunny scenarios. While the 3 main heroines were tolerable, I also thought their personalities and development were completely forgettable. Following Kira Kira's success, Overdrive released their first fandisc, Curtain Call. While I haven't personally experienced this title, I know it features a new cast rather than continuing the original characters' stories. Given my lukewarm reception to the original Kira Kira as a whole, I chose not to read this spin-off, and it seems like the overall reception to Curtain Call was also relatively mediocre on both Erogamescape and VNDB's scores. I guess Overdrive was also to the fandisc theme this time, as they created one for Edelweiss, Aiden Fantasia. This fandisc focuses on Rin and Sakura, 2 standout characters from the original I was surprised did not get routes, since they were easily the most likable of the main heroines. Aiden Fantasia offers a more typical fandisc experience, with less Nakage elements and more melodrama. Notably, it includes a rare threesome route, uncommon in slice-of-life romance titles. Overall, I thought this fandisc was pretty alright. One of my personal favorite Overdrive titles, Deardrops, is Overdrive's closest attempt at a straightforward moege. While it still contains some drama, it's primarily a lighthearted slice-of-life band-themed story without the cross-dressing elements of Kira Kira, thank God. Unique aspects include the protagonist's background as a violinist and a surprisingly well-developed boomer side character who outshines some of the heroines. While I do know a handful of people who like Deardrops, it's sadly mostly gone over the radar for most modern VN readers in the West, despite its decent ratings on both Erogamescape and VNDB. This next title had 2 versions, the original Dengeki Striker with only a few routes, and Cho Dengeki Striker, which adds 3 more routes. Cho Dengeki Striker is one of the few visual novels I can think of that's straight up a lighthearted battle shonen story, complete with an overpowered, romantically dense protagonist. Sadly, this is one of the few Overdrive titles I couldn't get myself to finish. While the fights in theory seemed fun, I just couldn't get attached to the story despite the initial intrigue of the main character gaining powers by losing his childhood memories. My main issue was just an incredibly boring set of characters, especially recurring antagonists. While this title is underread even among other Overdrive titles, it does appear to be rated kind of well. Overdrive's last fandisc was D2B vs Deardrops, a unique crossover featuring the main cast of both Kira Kira and Deardrops. Following the true routes of both games, it provides satisfying epilogue moments, especially for Kira Kira's somewhat open-ended true ending. It's short, being roughly 5 hours, but it's one of my personal all-time favorite fandiscs. I love the updated artwork for Kira Kira's characters to match with Deardrops'. I also love the interactions between the 2 bands, especially considering their points in life, and I love that it continued character development for both true route heroines. It's sad that this is quite possibly Overdrive's least read visual novel title ever, because I think this is the perfect send-off for both Kira Kira and Deardrops' characters. Contrasting one of the least read Overdrive titles is what's pretty easily Overdrive's most mainstream popular title, Go Nippon, a Japan tourism visual novel clearly targeting Western audiences. It includes practical features like currency conversion simulation and brief but immersive tours of some of Tokyo's most notable landmarks. While the romance subplot involving choosing between two sisters isn't particularly deep, for those who like either of the archetypes they represent, you might get some nice side enjoyment. That said, as someone who read this just before actually going to Japan in August of 2024, I was disappointed in this title, both as a tourist title and a dating sim. This title was likely made before many detailed Japan visual guides, especially through YouTubers, so at that point, I wasn't impressed. I get the idea was to have an entertainment title be a mix of tourism and dating sim to stick out, but it didn't do either aspect well enough for me personally. I thought the two sisters in particular were too shallow and archetypical for me to get into the dating part, especially Akira, who was almost every tsundere trope I dislike in one character. One of my personal favorite Overdrive visual novels, Bokuten Why I Became an Angel, is among the few notable utsuge or depressing or melancholic games available in English and arguably one of the best in the genre. It features unique elements like a chapter-based common route where the protagonist, Tomoe Kirino Kojima, can influence couples' relationships. The nuanced choices, often involving morally ambiguous situations, make every decision feel impactful. While the heroine routes are emotional, they don't quite match the quality of the common route outside the last parts of the true route. The down-to-earth characters and relatable development are easily Bokuten's greatest strengths, though sadly it is brought down by some moments that were just a bit too unnecessarily edgy shock value for the story it was trying to tell, and a few odd plot twists. Bokuten, while seeming to have alright reception, likely didn't sell that well considering this is the last title Nakara Reiji did for any visual novel scenario writing, only doing Deardrops and Bokuten. Green, a remake of a visual novel by Groover, a company whose staff joined Overdrive during Edelweiss's development, is the only Overdrive title that never got localized in English. The relatively middling reception on both Erogamescape and no one else I saw talk about it is likely why it never came in English. After Green, there was a 6-year hiatus of not releasing any new visual novels in Japan, but then finally, Overdrive released their final swan song visual novel, Musicus, written by Setoguchi, who also wrote Kira Kira, their previously most popular visual novel. It's by far their most grounded and realistic work, exploring band themes like Kira Kira and Deardrops, but with a more mature, adult age approach. Despite having a band theme like Kira Kira and Deardrops, it drops Overdrive's signature art style completely, going for a more contemporary character designer who did work for Nanairo Reincarnation and Busta Fellows. The story focuses on characters figuring out their life goals, with routes ranging from the protagonist never joining a band to experiencing varying degrees of success. While Mikazuki's route is considered the true ending, I found the bad ending route to be the most memorable. Musicus is one of the few Overdrive's true successes, with it having the exact score as previous Japan fan favorite Kira Kira on Erogamescape. It's also by far the highest rated Overdrive title on VNDB, though sadly it didn't even reach 1,000 people who voted on it even after several years of release. Despite Overdrive's diverse and unique visual novel catalog, they still officially closed shop in March of 2023. The reasons for Overdrive's closure weren't clearly spelled out by them, but there's 3 main points I can speculate based on their history and final efforts. Issue number 1, limited community success. Despite having numerous titles, Overdrive was never among the most talked about visual novel companies. Only Kira Kira and Musicus achieved notable success in Japan. In the West, most Overdrive titles had the issue of being stuck on the MangaGamer store, a store that doesn't exactly have the most universally appealing, trustworthy user interface for newer readers. But even the few titles that did get on Steam like Dengeki Striker, Bokuten, and Musicus seems to have just done barely okay at best, so I imagine the less popular ones sold even less on MangaGamer's store. While Go Nippon clearly did by far the best sales-wise, a company relying on tourism visual novel isn't going to do them wonders in the long run. Just as a reminder, Musicus is the only title that has an over 8.00 average on VNDB. If at least one other Overdrive visual novel got an anime adaptation, I think they could have helped them quite a bit in terms of people knowing who they are. Overdrive's issue number 2, I think they tried a little too hard to be unique. On an artistic level, and as someone who likes finding unique themes, I'm personally glad Overdrive mostly stuck to their guns. However, I won't deny their unique art style, while not ugly per se, is not universally appealing in the way something like Ubisoft, Key, or Sprite art styles would get to Trivian based purely on character designs alone. Also, while I'm glad Overdrive was able to create several band-themed titles, all with unique themes, band titles aren't exactly the most universally appealing niche in the weeb medium, relatively happy or nakige. Overdrive's issue number 3, bad monetization attempts. In their final days, it was clear Overdrive tried modern approaches to stay afloat. They tried creating VTuber-like avatars for Musicus characters in a Japanese-only show I keep forgetting existed. For the Westerners, they made a Go Nippon VTuber YouTube channel, which seemed to do alright, but considering it lasted maybe a year before stopping, it obviously didn't do as great as they wanted. That said, apparently the Go Nippon VTubers did well enough to inspire a Go Nippon sequel to happen eventually. It'll just take a little longer without Overdrive funding. Outside of that, I'm not really sure what Overdrive even tried to do to appeal to a wider audience, especially since there was over 5 years of no new visual novel releases in Japan. No anime adaptations, no console releases, just some MangaGamer translations, I guess? Overdrive still does remain in my personal top 10 favorite visual novel developers for their willingness to break the mold with unique themes and settings. It's unfortunate they never achieved widespread success in the West or even Japan beyond a couple of titles, as I consider many of their works to be among the most underrated visual novels ever created. What were your thoughts on this video or as Overdrive as a developer? Feel free to leave a comment below.